and welcome to another episode of Practical Money Magic with me, your host, Audrey Heesch, your friendly money lady. Today, we are chatting about return on investment. It is starting to become a normalized phrase in small businesses because we're pulling in the financial aspect and putting a tangible result on investments, which in the financial realm, we do all the time. And I'm so excited that small business owners are starting to understand this concept because it is so powerful to understand and navigate. When you are making an investment, are you making the right one? That is the question, right? Is it right? Is it wrong? And while I genuinely don't believe there is no wrong investment, it's a learning experience. There are steps you can take to make sure you get more of the right form of investments. That means what you're expecting is what you get out of it. However, again, I want to say that as you're going through and deciding on investments and analyzing after that investment, if it was the right one, there are so many nuances that you get to add in and evaluate what that value is to you. Sometimes there are investments that you make and you expect it to go down path A and it leads you down path C, and you're like, oh, okay, we even skipped a path. And so you just go down path C, and you then not only learned that there was a step that you thought you might needed to take, but you're now on path C. You grew that much more. You figured out that the way and the direction you were planning on going isn't actually what you wanted or needed or any number of things. And that is powerful, my friend, because with awareness, that's when you gain the power and the knowledge to make better decisions. And that's what this whole thing is all about, right? Is making sure that the decisions you're making are getting you to your goals and your dreams and your vision for what you're creating in this business. So, return on investment in just basic equation is what did you gain divided by what it cost you, like the monetary cost that you paid for that investment, and then you multiply it by 100 to get a percentage. And the higher the return, the better that investment was for you. So the confusing part that gets overlooked for a lot of people, for a lot of small business owners, is they're just directly correlating the monetary gain with the monetary cost. And yes, that is very valuable to understand and know. That should be the first step, hands down. As the money lady, it's very important to understand what the money side and the money aspect of what happened in that investment and if it panned out monetarily. The part that gets a little bit squirrely, let's say, is that there's ambiguity in some of where that money comes in came from. And also that second step, yes, we figure out the investment, the money that came in because of that investment and the money that went out because of that investment. And then depending on what that number is, if you're not happy with that number, that's okay. That's when you start adding in the more nuanced level of that investment. So what I mean by this is, what did I learn? Because when you're starting and learning, most of the time, depending on your skill level that you already come into and your knowledge level that you already come into this project with, but if you're starting like a brand new slate, completely clean, and coming into an investment and expecting really high results in terms of monetary while you're building all your systems and structures to support that investment, that's not always reality. And that's the piece that I think as a whole gets washed over, is it really depends on what you bring to that investment to be able to possibly get that highest return. Now, you might be a unicorn and it did work out beautifully for you and you did reach that maximum return on investment. And kudos, my friend, killing it. I am supporting you and celebrating you. The majority of people, though, don't necessarily get that when they're first starting. And that's okay. That's the beautiful learning experience. So, how do you pull in learning into this? That is a very good question. How do you put a number on learning to be able to create this equation? And it's going to look different for everyone and every situation and every investment. And that's why it's so important for you as a business owner to really dig in and look to see what it is, what that number and that value means to you for this investment. So let's say I put down, well, let's use my degree. I put in an investment of like $20,000 for my finance degree. And I will be honest and say that I struggle with that, seeing the value in that investment, because I went in a completely different path and I I don't want a single thing to do with the stock market. I don't believe in the ethics at its core. I learned about how it all works and I want nothing to do with it. Or at least in terms of like, I have an IRA. I'm not claiming I'm completely out of the stock market, but as a general rule, I don't want to be in the stock market for myself. Other people, like, I fully support people that see it as a valuable tool and empowering them in different ways. And I love that for them. It's just not my path. And I learned that when learning the intricacies of the stock market. So I don't believe I got a good return on investment. However, the part that I see is I learned the value of reports. Ask anyone in the financial market, they know and understand and can read their reports. And that's what fuels their decision in a lot of ways. Granted, software pulls most of that and nowadays, and it's different. However, the base level of all of that is your reports and your finances. And if you can pull that into small businesses and empower yourself with reading and understanding your finances, it is a lifelong skill that empowers you endlessly, not only in your business, but reading and understanding facts that are coming at you to be able to evaluate whether the the partisan level and the validity of the information coming at you. And that is very powerful. And that's the value of reading your reports. And that's what I bring in. And that's what my investment brought into me with my schooling. That's not to say that I wish I could give it back. Like, geez, take that investment back. But also, I learned so much and I gained so much in a lot of different ways. And so while I don't view I broke even or got ahead, there is also that intrinsic value of having that piece of paper, regardless of whether or not I used it. There's a lot of people and institutions and all of that that put immeasurable value on that I also plug into that equation. So from the understanding of reports to the the value of having that piece of paper. I don't know why I stuttered and stumbled on that, but the value of that piece of paper. While I don't feel like that's necessary, like, so evaluating that investment for me was a no. Like, that was a fail forward. Yes, I moved forward. I moved the needle in a lot of ways, but was it worth that dollar investment? For me, it was a no. For other people, yes. And that is the beauty of return on investment, is you get to analyze it for yourself. And that's really powerful. And in terms of investment in possibly coaching containers, because that's a really big thing right now, is trying to get the right coach and understanding of what you need in your business to be able to elevate you and get you on the right path. That's important. And one of the nuanced metrics that I use is, what connections do I make? I put a very, very high value on connections, and deep connections and real connections. And so if I go into a container and I get one, for every one true connection I make and I feel it, I feel that sense of deep connection. And it's always with beautifully heart-centered entrepreneurs who are genuinely in this for the impact. And also, because we are human, the comfortability of being able to pay your own bills and not rely on somebody else. It's not the flashy getting big money, it's taking care of people in a way that lights you up and is your gift that you're bringing to the world. Those are my people. Those are the people that when I find them, it's worth, in terms of investment, if I make an investment to get into a room, if I find one of those, for me personally, I put a monetary value of $5,000 on that to see if that investment is equal to that connect, like in evaluating my return on investment. Because connection is currency. No matter, if I met somebody and I had that great connection with them, and that's the only time that I ever see them ever again, for whatever reason, our stars aligned and made us go different ways, that's okay. I still created that connection, and I have seen it time and time and time again through not only myself, but other people. Those connections in other ways come back, or that connection was there to move your critical thinking or your line of thinking in a direction that fully supported you in a way that you might not have been able to do for yourself. And that's really powerful. That's why I put such a high monetary value on that, because I genuinely believe in people. And when I find these people, these unicorns, these beautiful, beautiful gifts to the world, I I value that. And as I grow, I know that that monetary value is, I'm going to continue to raise it. Just at my current position, $5,000 is what I'm putting in, because I know my investments that I'm making, that seems on par with ensuring that it's that value. That might have been a bit of a word mumble. So I hope that part was clear, because I think connections are very important. And when you infuse that into, if, and here's the thing, if you are money centered, if you're here to make the money to gain you that freedom or that house or that dream life, and you like, that's what you're valuing, that's perfect just the way you are as well. Add that in. Find the nuance and that quantity to apply to your connections and how your connections equal money, if that makes sense. It does make sense. I'm stating that. No, so when you are adding in, you have, let's say your goal is to make $1 million. And first, with that goal, understand if you're wanting $1 million in revenue or $1 million take home. That's a very big difference, and an awareness that small business owners is a good idea to start analyzing. So is it $1 million? Let's just say it's top line to make this easy. We want $1 million in income. Great. Then look back at your history and be like, okay, the connections I've made, which connections have resulted in that, in income, in higher income, and what value do I put on that? Again, everyone's going to be different. Every small business owner is going to have a little nuance different to how they look at this. And that's the beauty, is pulling back those layers. What is my end goal? How do I get there? And what are all the pieces that are contributing to that goal? Because once you start analyzing these different parts and figuring out what your return on investment is, that's when you're able to make the smarter decisions on where to invest and who to invest in, because you'll have a better understanding of what suits you best. For me, it's rooms, like getting into in-person rooms and talking to the people and sharing my message. That's what moves the needle for me. And because finances, it's so important that you get somebody that you trust and have a good understanding of where they lie and everything, because we can see, we are we have our eyes wide open. We can see our political climate and the corruption that is within mega corporations that is degrading every single aspect of our society. And that's not okay. And the flip side of that is there is beautiful impact that you can make as an entrepreneur. And that's why it's my mission to infuse ethics and financial literacy in the hearts and minds of small business owners. Because when you do that, that impact is so much greater. And that's what we're all here for, is to be the change we want to see in the world and create that movement of a better life. Whatever that better life looks like, it's going to be different for everyone. And I think that's what is so beautiful, is we all have these unique visions and these unique goals that balance each other out. We need it all. We need to be able to bring in all of these different pieces and all of these different perspectives, and not have very rigid systems for entrepreneurs, because we're visionary. Overall, entrepreneurs are visionaries. We're big thinkers, and you're just here to put that big thinking into motion to be able to create the change that you're envisioning. So the more we pull in reality and put monetary values to it, that really helps us understand our money on that next level. And that's the goal, just taking that one step at a time to really uncovering and understanding what your money is doing and saying, because it's telling you what's going on. It is an energy. Money is an energy all on its own. And the more you understand and peel back the layers and start putting your understanding and your value onto it, in a sense that in a way that makes sense to you, that's powerful. And that is empowering you to make your next best decision. And that's the goal. So, as always, plant that seed of success and watch yourself bloom, baby. See you next time.